guys, Ken here, your Thrifty Apprentice, and welcome back to another Thrifty review. In today's quick review, we are finally getting around to reviewing Rosa Gallery watercolors. I have, of course, been using these, as you guys know, so I did put them back in the box for the sake of this video. So they come in this cardboard box, which has a sleeve or a belly band on it. Creative Inspires, Rosa Gallery, watercolors, produced in Ukraine, developed in collaboration with professional artists, 28 classic, 100% gum Arabic, high quality pigments, natural drying. And then it gives a little image here which kind of shows what the pens looked like when they were wrapped. Mine, of course, are going to be unwrapped. The back is going to show a swatch chart. It will have color numbers. Let's see here. It's going to have transparency, light fast, the color name. Some of them even have the indication of whether or not it granulates or whether or not it's made basing on natural or made with natural pigments. So they do have that indicator for each of the colors. So quite a bit of information there about the colors on the sleeve, which is always really, really good. Which I'm gonna be honest, you're not gonna find me saying many bad things about this at all. This was a really nice set, I will say. And then there's some other information on here that's normally included. And the most important being that, of course, these do contain cadmium colors. So that is something to note. Removing the sleeve, it kind of basically just says the same thing, except for the back doesn't have all of the information that the sleeve does. However, it does have the manufacturing information, which again, Ukrainian manufacturer of fine art materials. It gives the website and a phone number, an email. I'm assuming that's an address, but it's written in a language that I do not understand. So, but I would make the assumption that that's an address. Removing it from the box, it comes in a blue tin. This is a very sturdy tin. It feels heavy, right? It latches really well. There was no issues with that. Now the inside of my palette is going to be dirty because I did paint with this earlier. So I'm sorry about that, but nonetheless, really nice big wheels to paint in here on the opposite side of the lid. The fold out side of the lid, which typically with most sets is either too high or too low. It sits okay. I mean, you can give it a little push to get it to level out. Not a big deal at all. The pans come in, well, as you can see, they come out. I am throwing watercolor everywhere. Let's get that back in there. So the tray that the pans are in, is what I'm trying to show you, it will come out. It does remove. There are additional wells on the bottom of the tin for mixing. I've noticed that a lot of people, including myself, don't really use those. And I'm not even sure if a lot of people know that they're there, but in a lot of tins, you do have additional mixing areas if you remove the palette, right? And then, of course, there are the ones that are here. So there's quite a bit of mixing area in that tin. And again, it's heavyweight. So the pans latch in with these little clamps that hold them in. They are full pans. And they do have sort of this sort of rounded sort of feel to the pan. I'm sorry, full pans. Did I say full pans? Yes, full pans. The paint is definitely liquid poured. You can tell by looking at each one of them. And I'll go ahead and say right off the bat, these paints actually reminded me a lot of the White Knight paints. And I'm actually going to grab that palette to look at it at a point during this video. But so there you see, there's not much information on the pen. The name Rosa is imprinted on the bottom, but that's about it. I'll just snap that back in there. And just in case you guys don't know, I'm gonna show you how that works. You just kind of push the little spring or the pins forward, and then you should be able to just, well, do it right. snap that into place like so. There we go. So yeah, and then there's a little extra room down here. You may can fit some half pans in there. I haven't tried, but honestly it looks big enough that if you wanted to add some additional colors to the palette for whatever reason, although God knows there's plenty of them. There's this particular set we're looking at has 28. I do know they have sets that are 36, and I do believe they have a smaller set which is 12. So plenty of paint. But if for whatever reason you needed to, you could fit some half pans down the middle of that, I do believe. So anything else about the physicality of the paints? No. As you can see, the colors are actually really deep. A lot of them you cannot tell what they are looking at them, which normally lends to transparency, right? So we're going to get into that in a moment, but so that's what the paints look like. Let's take a look at the swatch chart and color mixing and all of that goodness. So the very first thing I did was to take the wrappers off of the pans. Put that down onto my swatching chart and to swatch out the paints. We did it in two consistencies. We have a watery consistency for the first layer, and then we went back in with a glaze layer. As you can see, for the most part, well, let me get you guys zoomed in. Here we go. So as you can see, for the most part, paying attention to the black line that's on it, most of the paints, several of the paints are kind of transparent. And you're going to have some sort of opaque colors in here because you have cadmium colors, and cadmium colors are typically opaque. I did notice that the ultramarine in this set was a little opaque, which was kind of, kind of surprising to me. And of course, your earthier colors, which you expect to be opaque here. But with that said, this set has some really nice granulation to it based on the colors that you use. There are 4 main colors in here that lend to granulation, and it just so happens that those are colors that are really used for mixing, which means you're going to be able to mix really granulating colors. So I had someone ask me what granulating meant, so I'll try to explain to the best of my ability. So granulation is when the pigments in a paint with the binder are chunkier, or they're heavier and bigger, so they leave sort of a texture, a sedimentation on the paper as the paint dries, versus a paint that it has finely ground pigments, so it'll be flat when it dries. So that's kind of like maybe the easiest way I can explain what granulation is. Now, from what my understanding of the history of watercolor is, companies started out with paints that had their own characteristics, or granulating, where all of the paints didn't lay down and dry the same, and things kind of shift to paints being more flat, all of them having more similar characteristics, maybe less granulation. Now here in the last couple of years, granulation has come back in really heavy and popular demand, and it seems to be a thing that people are really looking for in paints. Well, if that suits your fancy. I'm sure there's still some people out there who don't like granulation. And I'll be honest, I don't even want granulation in every single painting that I do. So that's definitely understandable. So where were we? Each one of the color wrappers does give the transparency, the light fast ratings, as well as the pigment number or the pigment codes to make up each of the paints listed on the wrapper, which is another reason that I wanted to save it. Now I have some coating on here, and I'm trying to remember what it is. I do believe these are the colors that granulate. So the ones that I have with the dot, which are, let's see, Cad Red Light, Cad Red Medium, Ultramarine Blue, and what is this, Cobalt Blue, which is made from PB28. They all have a granulation to them. And so I took those, and I did, well, let's get to the granulation chart first. Then we'll come back to the color mixing. I did this sort of like, let's move out a little bit here. This granulation chart, right? So I'm using the CAD red light, which is PR108 and P020. The CAD red medium, which is PR108. The cobalt blue, PB28, and the ultramarine blue, which is PB29, all have beautiful granulation to them. They leave really nice texture on the paper. Therefore, any colors mixed with them, the resulting color, is going to have granulation to it. Even more so if the color that you're mixing is made up of more than one of these granulating colors. Again, everybody's not going to like granulation. I just happen to like it. And I do like the fact that all of these colors don't granulate, so I can have the choice not to use it in a set. Although I will say this set is made up of a lot of convenience colors. There are a lot of color, dual and triple pigment colors in here. So, you know, you have your single pigment, even your CADs. One of your CADs is a dual. You have a single pigment on the CAD red medium. You know, you have, what is this? Carmine, which is single pigment, dual pigment on madder red. So a lot of them are what I feel like convenience colors, but they're beautiful convenience colors, and they all mix really well. And I'm gonna get to why I'm saying that in just a second. So here you can see that I was this is madder red, and this is PR108, P020, and PY35. So this was me taking the CAD red light and the cadmium lemon and mixing it together. Look at this beautiful orange. Look at that. Look at the granulating colors here. These are so beautiful. This is PY35, which is the CAD lemon. This is PR108, which is the CAD red medium, and the PB29 ultramarine blue. And it's so beautiful, this bluey gray tone, which would be wonderful for adding shadows in a composition. Got some really granulating greens mixed. So just overall, some really beautiful colors. Entire line of purples down here, really nice browns. I did a lot of mixing with these colors. I played around with it a lot. Some really nice saturated turquoise colors over here. So even just dropping the colors into a complete mixture and let them just kind of play around and dance gave me beautiful granulation and texture. So if you're a granulating person, there are several colors in here that are going to be wonderful for you. Outside of that, the paints that don't granulate, you still have quite a wide range and variety of them, which is a good thing. Here on the color mixing, I use CAD lemon, madder red, as well as ultramarine. And in all cases, I got really beautiful, bright color mixtures that were not dirty. They weren't muddy at all. It reacted really well to salt. I mean, which is the case with most paints. But again, that madder red is so beautiful, granulated like that, with that salt texture in it. Now here we're going to do a lift test, which I always perform with you guys, as you know. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly. And then we're going to move on and take a look at some paintings that I did with them. Don't want to take up too much of your time with this video. Where we at right now? We're at 13 minutes. So. Okay, I'm going to grab a little water. That's all. I hope that's what that is. And then we are going to, let's see here. Get a little water on my brush. We're just gonna scratch down there. I mean, of course, I already knew that they were gonna lift beautifully. And this has been on this paper for quite some time, guys. I do mean quite some time. If you're wondering, this is Canson XL. 140-pound cold press paper that I did the mixing chart on, just in case you're wondering. So as you can see, the paints will lift, and I'm sure I can get more of it out. I'm not gonna scrub that paper anymore, but that's just to prove that you could. Here I mixed the CAD lemon, madder red, and ultramarine in order to get a very beautiful dark gray, almost black, but it has this really cool granulation to it. Really cool texture. Really cool. So colors mix beautifully. You can pull a split primary out of the palette. You can use your cad yellow medium, your cad yellow light, your blue, ultramarine, madder red, and cad red light. If you were to pull those colors out, you would have a split primary palette, which you could basically use to mix pretty much anything in here, which again is why I said a lot of these colors are convenience. Well, based on my use and what I, you know, what I've experienced with the paints. So anything else? Let's take a quick look at some paintings, guys. Give me just a second. I'm gonna clean it up. All right. So here are some things that we have done with them. If you guys know, or as you guys may know, I have been running a simple landscape mini series on the channel. We are almost at part 4, which will be putting all of the things that we did in the previous 3 videos together. And I've used Rosa Gallery watercolors for the first 3 paintings. So I'm gonna show, the first one that I did was, we did sky, if you remember. So I did a painting of the sky. Here I was able to lift the clouds out with no problem at all. Was able to achieve a really beautiful gray, watered it down. The control was easy. I mean, I just have no complaints about the paints. I don't. They perform beautiful on cellulose paper. Now, of course, this is 100% watercolor, 100% cotton that was swatched on here. Here it was cellulose paper. This painting is done on a student grade cellulose. But again, really beautiful coloration with that. You know, I love that. The second thing that was done was rocks, and threw in a little grass and some flowers. I mean, not my favorite painting in the entire world, but the paints performed beautifully. They layered well, they mixed really well. I didn't have any issues with that. I mean, there is a little bit of a color shift from wet to dry, but that could also have a lot to do with the grade of paper, because this is a very economical student grade of cellulose watercolor paper. And then the third thing we did on the channel with these would be the birch tree. Now, I'm sure I've done some other paintings, but these were the first 3 that I came across, so I just decided to share these with you guys. Again, no complaints, lifted out really well, was able to mix a really beautiful sort of gray black color in order to use to add the papery texture to the birch tree. I achieved some really beautiful greens. I did use their regular green in the mixtures to do this. Something to be noted, it is PG8. Now, I did some research, and I also heard a couple of other reviewers say that there was not, or that this is not a very light, fast pigment. And I do believe it's very similar to Russian green, from what I understand. So that's not a very light, fast pigment. So just know that, you know, anything that you paint with that, and that color fades out, it may just leave, you know, whatever it was mixed with, or if you was just using that green, you know, that particular thing that you painted with that green may fade out over time. Now, of course, probably maybe no time in the next, you know, 5 or 10 years, I'm guessing here, but just something to be noted, unless you're painting in a sketchbook and you're going to keep it closed up, which is what I'm going to do. And after reproducing it, which of course it'll be scanned and digitized at that point. So I'm not personally worried about light, fast in a lot of cases, but I know some people are. So I do like to give that information so that you'll have it and you'll know. So yeah, those are the paintings that I did. They perform real well, guys. I don't have any qualms with these paints. I don't have anything bad to say about them. I mean, I definitely recommend the paints. I think that they're a pretty great value. I'm not sure, based on what I have seen from the colors that come in the 12 set, I'm not sure if it's necessary to buy a set of them this large, because I'll be honest, some of these colors I haven't used other than maybe swatching them out. And I do believe after looking at the colors that's listed in that little 12 set, that would have probably been enough. But, you know, I didn't mind ordering. And this wasn't a really expensive set by any means at Amazon, by any means at all, excuse me, on Amazon. So it's not like I feel like I wasted money, because I don't believe I did. So getting around to what the paints are going to run you. They are currently listed on Amazon for $52, $53 for this set. I believe I paid $48 for it at the time that I ordered it. It's been a minute ago, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I personally don't think that's a bad value for the paints. I mean, they sort of, as I said, put me in the mind of White Nights, which I just so happen to have right here. And I just want you guys to look really quickly. I'm not going to grab the swatch sheet. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's got a little swatch palette in it. But it really puts me in the mind of White Nights, the way the pans are shaped. I don't feel like it's maybe as, well, yeah, it's about the same amount in that pan. These are liquid poured as well. I don't know. I just kind of feel like there's a lot of similarities in the way they perform and the way they work. The feel, the texture, the appearance. So yeah, there you have that. It makes me wonder if maybe they're made in the same factory. I mean, that's just a speculation. I don't know that for sure, but it definitely makes me wonder based on all the characteristics. But with that said, I do recommend the paints. Although I will admit these are cheaper. Just throwing that out there. Those are more economical, but these are a really great paint, and I do recommend them. Maybe, you know, if you're just looking to try them out, I would go with a smaller set. If you could find that 12 set, I would probably go for that instead. But this is an awesome set, and I am going to continue to use it. It's not going to be one that I tuck away. I've become really comfortable with these paints. Yeah. So there you have it, guys. That's my little quick review of Rosa Gallery. They get a thumbs up from me. Hopefully you guys heard something that you found useful that'll help you make a decision on whether or not you want to add these to your art collection. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Remember that sharing is caring, and it's going to help the channel grow. Don't forget to follow us on all of the social sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Use the comment section. Let me know what you think. Have you tried these paints? What do you think of these paints? I think they're beautiful. I would love to know what you guys may possibly think. You can join the Thrifty Apprentice sponsored Facebook group. Paints, Pencil, Pastels, and Markers. It's growing, guys. It's a lot of wonderful people over there. And it's some awesome artwork. I've seen some people post some awesome artwork. I'm going to ask, you know, some of them I really be wanting to show. But, you know, I don't really want to kind of like violate the product. But, oh my God, some of the paintings and the artwork that goes on in there are pretty amazing. You guys, you know, come on, join us. We would love to have you. And as I tell you guys at the end of every single video, just keep painting.